Hey, I'm Angel, founder of AI Flow app, where we help founders turn operational chaos into clean, scalable systems using AI. AI Flow is my podcast where I talk to early stage leaders about the real behind the scenes, what's working, what's breaking, and how they're using tech to move faster with clarity. Let's get into it.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey Rob.
It's going well. How about you?
Doing good, doing good. Busy day today. Had a very early morning, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's ready to take a nap at some point.
What were you busy with?
I had to watch our kid pretty early this morning, so I was up I think at like 6 a.m. something like that.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah,
Sorry.
so just watching
Yeah.
babies, meetings, trying to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that our company's working properly, the typical, CEO
Yeah.
responsibilities. So
Yeah. I feel that. I feel that.
yeah. How are you doing? How are things with you?
Pretty good. Pretty busy. Just did a my first 3.5 mile run in my life
Oh wow,
yesterday.
nice. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you pivot to Lumiwealth?
Well, I've always wanted to like start my own fintech company,
Okay.
right? So I started a bunch of tech companies throughout my life, and fintech is always the thing that I really wanted to do. Kind of the opportunities came along. Like we are doing Voyager, I had enough money, I didn't really have to worry about anything. I was just like, yeah, let's dive in. Now is the best time, right? And kind of just went ahead with it. I left Voyager maybe like 2 or 3 years before they blew up, so I kind of got a chance to build out the company, and yeah, I feel pretty happy about the decisions.
Yeah. I saw you posted about Botspot and Polygon.
What? Yeah. What about Bosspot and Polygon?
I just saw on your LinkedIn. I was curious to hear a little bit
Okay.
more about it from you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Botspot
Yeah.
is our new website that we launched in like January,
Hmm.
and basically, it's taking all the things that we learned over the past 5 years on how to make trading algorithms for people and just using AI to do that, right? So
Yeah.
you're able to use AI to create your own trading algorithms, and you're able to create trading algorithms that actually use AI, which is really cool. It's like this whole agentic workflow. This is, all the rage these days about, AI agents. So we're able to help you create that kind of stuff and whatnot. So yeah, it's definitely a really cool concept. We're still pretty new, but we're actually launching a pretty big version update very shortly, that I think some people are going to be very, very excited about.
That's so
So
exciting.
yeah, it's kind of taking trading to the next level, trading and investing to the next level. It's using all the latest
Hmm.
AI tools and that sort of stuff.
Super cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. So I just had a few questions. Like I think it'd be good to like kind of go. I we already went through your background, so that's great.
Mhm.
But just kind of going through like what's behind like the high burn rates, like operational challenges that you guys might be seeing on the back end. I know you're like super code savvy. You have all these bots going on, so I'm sure you're super efficient. But just like would like to hear a little bit more about that, and then like we can wrap up at the end with like some next steps and things like that.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we can do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, we can start off with like industry trends too. So, like, have you seen like any big industry shifts in the fintech space? Obviously, there's a lot going on with like AI blowing up and things like that. But like from your perspective, what's like kind of the biggest
Yeah, AI is definitely the
shift?
biggest force. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
like changing things. Honestly, changing at such a rate that like it's really hard to keep up. Like, and this is talking from someone who's like been doing tech for 25 years, and like I really do keep up with this stuff. I like watch
Yeah.
podcasts and all that kind of stuff nonstop about it, and like it just seems like every week there's like some new revolutionary thing like out. It's constantly, it's crazy how fast it's going.
Yeah.
So AI is definitely a massive driving force. The CEO of Anthropic, I forget his name right now, but he said
Mm-hmm.
recently that the industries or the job roles, the job titles are going to be disrupted the most are going to be finance, technology, and marketing and law. He named four. Two out
Yeah.
of the four are fintech, right? So
Yeah, I
finance and
see that.
technology, right? So
Yeah.
we that's definitely a really, really big trend for us.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to technology, we're just able to build things so much faster now than we used to. You know, a lot of these companies have been around for a while. They have all this software they put in place that they probably spent years developing, and we're now able to build, you know, a year's worth of code in like a week sometimes, right? Which is
Yeah.
crazy, crazy difference. So, you know, I think the competition's about to get really heated, right? And it already is, but I think it's about to get a lot crazier. Um, and then in fintech, I mean, in finance in general, I mean, finance is really just numbers, right? So it lends itself really well to software and technology, right? So, you know, I can see our industries collectively, like the fintech industries as a whole, just completely changing the landscape over the next couple of years. If you're like a regular banker that's just like changing entries in a Excel spreadsheet, like I don't know what you're going to be doing, right? It's like
Yeah.
that can be done very easily now. And you know, in multiple different ways, you could literally talk to ChatGPT and just have that do it for you. And like these agent workflows are really getting so powerful that they could even do it without you even talking to them. They could like figure out the problem and fix it before you even realize there was a problem, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
very, very big disruptive force is AI. I think that's
Hmm.
across, you know, the world and all industries, but in tech and finance, I mean, we're really feeling it quite a bit, which is good. I mean, we're on the cusp of that. Like we're the ones building it, right? So we're the ones riding the wave, and we're actually benefiting a lot.
Yeah.
But if there's banks or other things out there that are not good with technology and aren't at the forefront of this, I mean, the landscape is going to shift, you know, and
Yeah.
you know, starting to see that already. But I think it's just accelerating. Um, so that's a big one. Another one is obviously crypto, right? We talk about crypto a lot, right? Bitcoin is becoming more mainstream. People are starting to use crypto for different things. You know, it's really less. I mean, there's all this like stuff where people trade meme coins or whatever, and that's kind of the things that make the headlines. But
Yeah.
there's a lot more interesting developments happening as well that like are actually legitimately add value. It's not just, you know, like stable coins are really interesting. Um, those are, you know, you can send money in around the world much easier. You know, for example, we employ people in like in Africa, we employ people in Europe, we employ people like all over the world, and sending US dollars is not always the easiest thing to do, right?
Hmm.
There's a lot of barriers in place and it's pretty expensive. So sending things using USDT or something like that really helps a lot. So stablecoins are really good. There's a lot of really interesting stuff happening with like real world assets, right? Where um, like imagine you have a house, and normally when you sell a house, it's very difficult and expensive to do, right? My friend started a real estate development company, and they're like building out the stuff, and they're raising money. And it's like, well, what you could do is you could turn that real estate project into like a crypto kind of like coin, where you automatically give liquidity to the house and you can like buy and sell shares of the house, and then when you sell
Hmm.
it you don't have to change title, so it saves you like literally thousands of dollars and makes things a lot more liquid. And like there's a lot of like really interesting things happening there, and like in terms of real world assets in crypto. So yeah, I mean those are kind of like the big trends I think happening in our industry, right? Is AI and crypto, I
Yeah.
think, are kind of the biggest things, you know.
Okay. Do you think a lot of companies are like catching up on the AI forefront, or do you think there's still a lot that could catch up?
Honestly, I mean, I'm pretty surprised at how fast people are adopting this, you know, because
Yeah.
previous tech trends, something will come out and people don't use it that quickly, right? They'll,
Okay.
you know, like for example, again, I've been in tech for a long time. I've been doing this for a long
Yeah.
time. You know, the iPhone came out, and it was a while before people started using the iPhone. Like before, like everyone had an iPhone. That took a
Really?
very long time. Yeah, it took a long time. You know, like I was using a
Okay.
BlackBerry back in the day, and then the iPhone came out, and people thought it was stupid for a while, right? It's like
Oh,
it
I don't
literally
know. I
took
was
like a good
young
10
at the
years.
time.
Yeah, yeah. I've been
Yeah.
around a little longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the iPhone took a very long time to gain adoption, right? Not very long.
Okay.
It was still one of the fastest growing products in all of history at the
Hmm.
time, right? But it took,
Yeah.
you know, what, 10, 15 years before everyone had an iPhone. ChatGPT, to put into context, um, So I don't know if you've heard the headlines. It's the fastest growing product in all of history. Period. Right.
Yeah.
It took Instagram, which was the previous fastest growing product. Sorry, it's getting a phone call. Um,
You're good.
Instagram, which was the previous fastest growing product, I think it took them. I could be getting the numbers wrong, but like the proportions kind of there, right? It took them like a year to get to 1 million users, whereas ChatGPT it took them like a month, right?
Oh,
And
wow.
now I heard something. I could be a little bit off about the numbers, but like proportionately, it's kind of like that, right?
Yeah.
It's like just and Instagram was
Much quicker.
previously was the fastest growing product, and then previous to that was the iPhone. So it's like you're seeing these like really um, shorter time frames for mass adoption.
Yeah.
And Sam Altman, OpenAI's CEO, he said recently that they were adding 1 million users an hour. Like, can you imagine like what's happening to like I'm surprised they're functional, right? Like I mean,
Yeah,
most
that's
tech companies,
crazy.
if they had that much people coming to them, they would just shut down. They wouldn't be able to handle it, right? So they clearly
Yeah.
have a very good tech team for starters.
Yeah.
But second of all, I mean, that's just insane how fast people are using this. And like my mother, she's 70 years old. I think she's turning 71 years old. She
Hmm.
uses it a lot now, right? Like
ChatGPT?
she'll make like something to eat, like she'll make like dinner for us or whatever sometimes. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like, how are you making this kind of food? And she's like, oh yeah, I just talked to ChatGPT about it and whatever. I'm like she's clearly using it a lot, right?
Yeah.
So, so I mean, people are definitely adopting it much faster than other tech
Hmm.
trends. So I do think that there's going to be some keep ups happening, but I think the question is how well can companies adapt these things and actually use them within their workflows? Because Y Combinator, and again another thing around this, right? Y Combinator, that's like where OpenAI came from, and Sam Altman used to run Y Combinator.
Hmm.
They're the best incubator on earth when it comes to tech companies. They started Airbnb, not started, but incubated Airbnb. They incubated OpenAI, right? ChatGPT, and like a bunch of other like really big successful companies. They do something every year where they say they do like a call for startups. I think they call it something like that, and or a request for startups. I think is what it is. So every year they basically what they do is they ask what kind of companies they want to see, right? Because you have to like it's like an admission process. It's like kind of like getting into like a university, right? You have to like apply to get in, right? And then if you get admitted, they'll like help you get funding and all that kind of stuff. So they'll put out a request for startups to say these are the kind of ideas that we want, right? Like if you apply with this kind of idea, you're more likely to get admitted, right? And this year they did something that I thought was pretty crazy. They said they're looking for quote unquote full stack AI companies. So what the hell does that mean, right? So a full stack AI company, as they described it, is instead of building a product to sell to a company, you are instead being that company, right? So for example, instead of making products for law firms, like AI products or whatever kind of product you want to make and selling it to law firms, you are instead now directly competing against the law firm. You are the law firm, right? Which is this is unheard of, right? This is crazy,
Yeah.
right? And if you fast forward that a little bit, right? I'm just thinking, what the hell happens to these existing businesses? They're still relying on humans to communicate, right? Because we're talking about, these companies could be 100,000 times more efficient than like a previous human run company.
Yeah.
So what is going to happen to the industry? You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
pretty dramatic shifts I think happening. So
Yeah.
yeah, what we're building, we're trying to like be on the forefront of that. Like that's like what we're building. Like because we're a startup, we can kind of create things like that from the beginning. But a
Hmm.
lot of these bigger companies, I mean, if they're not like super aggressive about this stuff, even if they have their employees using it, that's not enough, right? Like these
Yeah.
things need to be like functioning on their own and like this is your business process, not like a human's using it to do a business process. Like it's like
Hmm.
this is the process, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. So in your current company, like what kind of internal processes have been surprisingly tricky to scale?
Internal processes have been tricky to scale. Probably sales. I mean, having
Okay.
to like manage like a sales team is such a pain. Um, we're
Why?
again the whole AI approach I think makes a lot more sense. Um, trying to hire salespeople, motivate them, making sure that they're doing things like that. That's like really hard to do.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to understand why a lot of tech companies choose to not have sales teams, right?
Yeah.
So and again, the AI thing I think can really help out there a lot as well now. There's starting to be like completely AI sales operators now. You could like buy them; they like exist, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely been the hardest. I'm not a fan of scaling up sales teams, and I think we're probably going to change our tact on that.
I think you're gonna go towards like the AI side of things.
Yeah, we're already working on a redesign of a website that's kind of like really just more, pushing you to buy through the website, sending more text
Yeah.
messages and more emails. Um, and then instead of having a salesperson that's answering everything, we can have like something that you could talk to ask questions, kind of like a chat GPT type of thing. There's actually ways they could do that, just like put in all your company's information to like this big database, and when someone asks a question, just like searches the database and gives you the answers. And you could do that with not only text, but you could also do that with voice, right? So,
Huh?
what is the point of a salesperson again, right? You know what I mean? Like if we could do that, right?
Yeah.
I guess there's still it's not like perfect yet, and it's
Yeah.
but it's gonna get better. You know what I mean? And over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, like we're seeing this exponential growth like this. I'm willing to bet that in 2 or 3 years from now, these things are way better than salespeople. You know what I mean? Because it's like they're faster, they know everything right off the bat. You don't need to train a new one. You can have 1,000 of them calling people all at once. You know,
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet that there's going to be some new law changes around how many people you can call and stuff like that. Because text messages and phone calls are already
Yeah.
starting to get pretty annoying, and that's just going to make it worse. So I
Yeah.
think that there's going to be some privacy stuff around that. Um, but even if it's not like an outbound thing, like if you like, let's say you want to buy the product, right? We're
Yeah.
selling a product for $1,000 or $2,000. Chances are you're going to have some questions around that, right? You're not going to want to spend $2,000 without being like kicking the tires a little bit, right? Now we could get a person on the phone to do that, right? Which is, we have to have a well-trained salesperson. Is he following the right rules? Like, are you trying to sell him this specific thing? Are you explaining things in the right way? Right? We have to like train people to do that. It's kind of difficult to train a human being to do that kind of thing. Um, or, you could just talk to our AI agent, right? You have some questions here, we could answer them for you. Answers it
Yeah.
immediately, shows you pictures, can show you all these different things, take you to a website, you can move around with things. I think that's going to be a much better flow for things. And right now, you're probably thinking that you don't want to do that, but I'm willing to bet in about a year or two, that's probably going to be something that you'll prefer rather than speaking to a human.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very interesting.
yeah. AI is changing a lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
It really is.
Yeah,
I do wonder a lot of the same things that you wonder as well about like, oh, what's going to happen to all the finance, tech, law, and marketing people?
I don't
Who
know.
knows?
I don't know. I've
Or the
been wondering that a
salespeople
lot.
soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think there's two ways of thinking about it, right?
Hmm.
Is either it's going to replace everybody, right? Or it's going to supercharge everybody. And
Yeah.
I think it kind of just depends on how you're using this stuff, right? Like, if
Yeah.
you're someone who's not using it, good luck, right? Like, if you're changing an
Yeah.
Excel spreadsheet and you don't use AI, like I have no use for you. I'm sorry. I feel
Yeah.
like that's like why are you even here, right?
Yeah.
Um, but then yeah, I don't know. Who knows how far it goes? I mean, I think it's anyone's guess. I think
Mhm.
the people that know this the best are the ones that are building it, right? We could ask Sam
Yeah.
Altman or whatever what they're seeing because they're seeing stuff, a couple months ahead, right? At least a couple months ahead, if not more than that, because they have
Yeah.
all these giant computers that they can have do things that they won't give us access to yet, you know? Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be an interesting next couple years for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. in terms of like internal workflows, not necessarily like client facing or anything like that, have you seen anything where like anywhere internally where manual work might be slowing people down or slowing you guys down like more than expected?
What do you mean by that exactly?
Like think like ops or like finance, like you were just talking about, like the Excel sheets, right?
Yep.
Like where maybe people are like manually pulling data from one area, putting it in to a different area. Like like I used to work in corporate finance, did all of that, like Fortune 100 companies. They're not, unfortunately, not as fast as like smaller fintech firms. So I've seen a lot of that in my work.
Yep.
And like that's kind of why I started AI Flow App in general, just to like help people, help startups get these processes in place
Yep.
where you can be more efficient and like take the boring work off their plate kind of thing, you know?
Yeah,
So just
absolutely.
curious about like what you're seeing on your end.
Yeah, I mean, we hire a lot of software engineers, right? So I think we're a little bit different than most companies because we're like
Yeah.
70% software engineers. Like, if you don't know how to code, you probably don't work for us. Um,
Oh
but
wow.
it's not that extreme. There are some people, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I can name a single person in our company that doesn't code.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, there's levels of how good they are or not, right?
Yeah.
But I think pretty much everyone within our company, except our salespeople, can code, although they are learning
Yeah.
how to code, right?
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, like one of our sales guys, he's actually spent a lot of time learning some stuff, and he's kind of trying to go down that path. I think coding is a little different these days. It's coding, I put in
Yeah.
quotes, right? Because
Yeah.
like the way that I code these days is I turn on my microphone and I yell at the AI to build stuff for me. You know, like, put this
Versus
thing there.
the
No,
old
stop doing
days.
that. You know.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, that's like what coding is these days, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing it right. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely some process. I mean, I could give you one example. There's uh, one of the guys that's in our company is kind of like a consultant. He helps out with some stuff, and he's like, "Well, let's analyze your numbers and let's kind of go through this and see how we can improve things and whatever." I'm like, "Okay, well, what do you want to analyze?" I'm like, he's like, "Oh, we should go over this and we should do this and we should do this." I could put together an Excel spreadsheet. Basically, said to me this. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, if you want to do that, I took all this stuff, I put into ChatGPT, I exported everything, put into ChatGPT O3, the good model, right, and just said, what is our conversion rate with this, and what's happening here, and it just like spat out all those numbers, and it's like, why do we need to put together an Excel spreadsheet, right? Or I asked it, do like our unit economics, right, and like put that together, and I just basically copied pasted that, put it into an Excel spreadsheet, and
Hmm.
now we have our unit economics. It was a little wrong at first, but went back and forth with it for a bit, and now we have a spreadsheet unit economics. We can kind of change numbers very easily, and it's like these people that were doing this manually. This is actually a very good example. This one consultant guy, he's like, I'm like, I don't understand why you're thinking about this for a week. I mean, I got it done in like 15 minutes. like, like, what are you doing? Like, yeah.
Yeah. So he's kind of like a contractor or
Something like that.
oh,
We're
okay.
not paying him. He's kind of just like helping us out. We give him access to our product for free. I help him out with certain things, and then he kind of helps us out from time to time as well. We have a lot of
Okay.
people like that in our company actually. Kind of the nature of our business is we're or we started off as an education company, and we
Uh-huh.
still kind of do a lot of education. But I think because of that, we've kind of been able to get a lot of people in our orbit, right? And a lot of people come in and just like write code for us for free and do a lot of stuff for us for
Hmm.
free. Um, we have an open source project as well, so we get a lot of like free labor and things like that. So you can call them consultant, you can call them a contractor. Kind of depends on
Yeah.
your perspective, right?
Okay. That makes sense. And if you could like wave a magic wand and fix like just one thing, one back office process or like whatever financial process or any process, like overnight, what would that be?
Um, Back office would be different. I mean, I think the number one process to fix would be our sales funnel, right? I think that's
Yeah.
kind of like the biggest thing, right? I talked
Yep.
about, scaling up sales team. That's really, really difficult, and
Yeah.
yeah, would definitely like to fix that. Which we are actually working on fixing that. Like that's currently like our big sprint that we're doing right now.
Hmm.
But in terms of back office stuff, I think it would be really great. And I've actually wondered about making an app that kind of does this.
Hmm.
Something that could pull in all of our data, like from our marketing, from our Stripe, from Google Analytics, all that kind of stuff, and create like a dashboard for us. Like this is how we're doing in terms of our metrics. This is our funnel conversion. This is our how our customers are doing, our lifetime value per customer. This is our customer acquisition costs, and just kind of seeing all that in like a dashboard. I think that would be
It's like a
really cool.
Power BI.
Yeah, like a Power BI, sure, like a Power BI. I just minus the expensiveness of it, you know. Um, Power BI is way too expensive. But
Yeah.
Google has one like that, right?
Hmm.
That's I think free. I forget what that is called, data something, right?
Oh, I
So
have
you
no
do
idea about
that,
that one.
but also dashboards like that. I think they're a little difficult to work with because you have to like manually change things or whatever. I think using
Hmm.
AI, you could do some much more interesting stuff much faster, right? Like you can
How
actually
so?
build. Well, so to build a dashboard, right,
Hmm.
you still have to go in there and you have to like drag and drop this thing and connect it and whatever. I can't really get an AI to like find me the right things and do that. Like you kind of need it to be able to code, right? You kind of need code to be like the base layer to get all your data and then
Yeah.
to display it as well. Like I think code would be a lot easier to work with, right? Because when you go into a Power BI or whatever, like setting that thing up is like, I don't know how many times you've had to set these things up, but it is not fun. Like it's a
Yeah.
lot of work. And I
Yep.
feel like with the way that AI is working now in terms of code, I think it'd be a lot easier to build something that kind of uses AI to pull that information and wrangle it for you better. So you can kind of just like almost ask it questions and like
Hmm.
customize it for yourself for because every business is going to be a little different, right? Um, and I don't want to be there dragging and dropping boxes and clicking things and stuff. Like I'd rather just
Yeah.
say do this and it like displays it on a page, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's possible now, right? So um, I think that'd be a much better experience personally.
Okay. So you're thinking about like using the Google Power BI. I don't know what it's called, but
Yeah, whatever's.
think about using that
I mean,
to
maybe,
create
right?
dashboards.
Maybe. I mean,
Okay.
it would have to be something that you can like write with code. And the reason why that's important is
Yeah.
because that's how the AI communicates, right? So you could like tell the AI, build me this dashboard, and it can like create it for you, and they can just like paste it in, as opposed to like going in there and manually clicking on things and stuff, right? So I don't even know if the Google one can do that. This is something that like I've been thinking about. We haven't built
Hmm.
yet, so it's actually kind of interesting to have this conversation because
Yeah.
it's definitely something we want to put together. But if I were to approach it, I would approach it in that kind of way where the
Yeah.
dashboard is like code, right? And again, I put code in quotes because it doesn't have to be like code. It could be like an HTML scripting language or whatever. But that makes it a lot easier because then I could just say to an AI, say like, hey, move this thing here and add an extra thing in here. Is this being calculated correctly? And we could have that conversation and it can like update it for me as opposed to me actually having to like
Yeah.
drag and drop stuff myself. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Do you find yourself doing a lot of this stuff on your own, or is it more of like the people that you've hired who do it for you, like, or your
Um,
consultants?
what stuff in particular?
Like things like what you're talking about now, like building the dashboard, like doing like these very like manual, maybe not manual, but like talking to AI and like building out these Excel sheets and like dashboards, I guess, in the future. Like who typically does that for you? Is that your team?
Yeah, I mean, Our team is really more focused on product, and I kind of want it to stay that way, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just like focus, right? Like, we have a bunch of developers, right? I can get them to build all sorts of stuff, but I think it's a little bit easier for myself personally to just go in and do a lot of these things, right? Because I have, first of all, the perspective, right?
Hmm.
It's good to like allow a person say like focus on this thing, get really good at this one thing, and then they can like run way faster than you, right? Which is
Yeah.
fantastic, right? That's definitely where you want to get to is you want to have employees that are a hell of a lot better at doing something than you are, right? So that, everyone's kind of becomes very efficient, right? But as a CEO, you kind of have to look at the higher level perspective, right? And a lot of this stuff that we're talking about here, like the dashboards and whatever, those are higher level stuff, right? Like you need to
Yeah.
be thinking about how's our sales process working? How's our cost burn happening? Like, are we
Hmm.
spending too much money? Are we acquiring people for cheap enough? Are they staying on board for long enough? These are like these high level things that you want to be thinking about. And you want to pull your team into that, but your team is only going to be able to influence a part of that, right? Like one guy is going to be focused on the beginning part of our sales funnel. Another person is going to be focused on providing really good in our case running algorithms and back tests, right? Like that's like one specific thing, and that's like a retention metric. And you want to show the dashboard to everybody so that we're all kind of on the same page and everyone can kind of brainstorm around it. But for them to have to think about it from that perspective, they're not really going to be able to do that, right? Because they just don't understand the business well enough and they don't understand kind of the conceptual things that we're trying to accomplish well enough. They're kind of in their own world, right? And as they should be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then second of all, also a lot of these things require like high level permissions, right? Like Stripe, I don't want just anyone poking around in our Stripe, right? Like this is, we have, thousands or, hundreds of thousands of dollars going through there every year. Um, you know, I don't want you messing around with that too much, right? Like this is, and some of this stuff is, you know, um, we're a big believer in transparency, right? Like I try to show off or we try to be as transparent about our business as possible. This is how much money we're making. This is what our costs are, whatever. Try to be as transparent as possible. But there are some things at some point they probably want to say, okay, maybe we don't want, every single person in the company knowing about this, right?
Yeah.
Um, there
Yeah,
is
like
some level of
that makes
privacy that
sense.
you want to have, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like especially the financials, things like that. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty open
Yeah.
about our financials, but there are like
Yeah.
details that you don't need to know how much money I spent on lunch yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, this is the, you know what I mean? Like, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. That's totally
Yeah.
fair. Okay. So like looking ahead for the next 6 to 12 months, what what's like your biggest focus and like what kind of internal improvements would you want to have? Like what's your biggest focus in that area?
Right now, our focus really is on kind of doing the typical startup metrics, unit economics kind of stuff. That's, what we're focused on. We're trying to get our lifetime value of our customers up. We're trying to get our customer acquisition costs down. We're trying to reduce
Hmm.
churn. We're trying to increase our average order value, right? These are kind of the things that we're focused on, right? Um, it'd be great to also build a dashboard around that. We talked about that. We don't have a kind of a
Yeah.
concise dashboard. I think that'd be really helpful. But yeah, that's basically what we want to do right now. Kind of our focus is reducing churn. We have a new website. I think we need to improve our onboarding process and kind of make things a little bit easier for people. So we're really focused a lot on that. And we're really focused a
Hmm.
lot on trying to acquire customers for cheaper, right? Which is a lot of stuff like talking to influencers, optimizing Facebook ads, optimizing sales funnels, that sort of thing. So we're spending a lot of time on those things. Those are kind of our high level big things that we want to do. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's
Bring in the
interesting.
revenue, to say it in one
Yeah, so
word,
you're
bring in the
very
revenue.
like
Yeah.
very revenue focused right now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
As I think most companies should be, especially when you're early stage,
Hmm.
right? Like maybe if you're a Google, you have the luxury of saying, okay, we don't need to be fully focused on revenue this year. We can do some sort of cost improvements or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're a startup, I mean, if you're not growing your revenue, nobody cares about you, right? No investors want to talk to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like revenue is like everything. You could be unprofitable, right? But if you're not growing revenue, forget it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so revenue is really, really important.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. Hmm. So the curious, so the dashboard that you were talking about, that's also like revenue focused mostly that you're trying, or are you talking about like several different dashboards?
Yeah, the dashboard that I have in mind that I'd like to build for our team is revenue
Hmm.
focused. Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
about what I would plan out on this thing, and it's interesting to talk this through is we would have our customer acquisition costs right up there. We would have
Yeah.
our lifetime value of our customers right up there.
Hmm.
We'd have our churn rate right up there. And
Yeah.
then we'd have metrics around like uh, which customers are likely to drop off. Should we be trying to go after those customers? Like, how do we get people, like all the kind of metrics around that? Actually,
Yeah.
there's this really interesting book that I'm reading for the second time right now called Software as a Startup, or no, Software as a Science is what it's called. Software as a
Okay.
Science. So
Okay.
SaaS, right? Software as a Science.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, clever,
Yeah.
right?
Very clever.
Yeah, really, really good book though.
Mhm.
Fantastic book. Talks about like how to build a software company A to Z. I've been in it for long enough to understand like he's completely right about what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm rereading one of the chapters right now about they have this thing called the CHI, the Customer Health Index, right? You want to basically you want to improve your CHI, right? So first you want to measure it, right? So
Hmm.
how do you measure customer health, right? You can measure it through how many times someone logs in. Are they spending a lot of time on your website? Maybe.
Yeah.
Are they, in our case, deploying a lot of bots? Are they running a lot of back tests, right? Are they using our product, right? Like, and you want to correlate that to how long they stay on board, right? So this is kind of like an early warning sign if someone's about to churn, right? So this is all about, revenue. Revenue as a subscription product, right? Is getting people to sign up for cheap, right? And then stay on board, right? That's
Yeah.
kind of the gist of it, right? So
Yeah.
we want to get them to sign up as cheaply as possible. So we want a dashboard kind of
Yep.
analyzing that. And the other side of it is churn. We want these people to stick on board for longer. So there's a bunch of like micro things they could do around that. Like the customer health index is one of them, right? Are we starting to see people log in more? Are we starting to see people use the product more? Who are the people that are using it more? Who are the people that are dropping off? Maybe we should come up with a way of like retargeting some people that are starting to drop off. Like having all that kind of stuff. Like that's I think really really important. That's our focus right now is growing our revenue, and that's the best way that I know to grow our revenue.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's actually funny. Um, in my prior role, I worked on exactly that stuff in
Oh, cool.
finance.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
corporate finance. Yeah.
we looked at a lot of those things,
Yeah.
and like as I mentioned a little bit earlier, like I started AI Flow app to help startups as well.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about AI Flow?
I can give you a little bit of background about myself. So I've been in corporate, like Fortune 100 companies for the past 6 years. Um, Worked in operations for a bit and worked in finance, did a lot of like operational efficiency kind of stuff. That's kind of why like AI Flow is like about that. Just like more delving into that kind of stuff and like worked a lot in like finance as well, built dashboards, like automated things here, like coded in this role as well, in like previous roles as well.
Mhm.
But like I've built AI Flow app because I saw all these inefficiencies in finance and like I've worked pretty heavily in like making things more efficient and it just like is a satisfying feeling for me. So I'm like, oh, this is more efficient. This is great. Like instead of, oh, why are we doing this manually?
Yeah,
So it's
that
kind of
makes
like,
sense.
yeah, that's like a little background about me. And then like AI Flow app itself is like pretty small. We're working with like pretty custom, like tailored kind of projects for clients.
Yeah, so this is, I guess, a way of connecting AIs to have them talk to each other. It's kind of like an agentic flow that you're building here.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's this.
yeah.
Yeah, this is a great idea. Absolutely. Yeah, so a lot of times the problems with AI is that you'll tell it to do something, but it doesn't actually can't actually go off and do it for you, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's quite important. I actually find myself building a lot of flows like this manually. Well, manually
Yeah.
with code, right? But
Manually. It's still kind of manual.
yeah, sort
Yeah.
of. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's
Like you
very
want to focus on like the high level strategy as a CEO.
right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get that.
yeah. This
Yeah.
is very cool. Awesome.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
I know we're a little bit over on time. I really appreciate you joining us on AI Flow today. I feel like your insights were super, super helpful, and hopefully others find it helpful as well.
awesome. Very
So
cool. Hopefully, yeah,
appreciate your time.
yeah. Thank you very much. It was great speaking with you.
Yeah, it's great speaking with you as well, Rob.
Awesome. All right. Have a great day.
All right. Have a great one. Bye.
Bye.